Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. Hope you all enjoyed Game of Thrones last night. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I watched it. I hope you all watched it. Without giving spoilers away, if you did watch it, let us know what you thought about it in the chat. There's been some mixed reactions, but we're done. It's all over, and we're back. Monday morning, XD Daily Creative Challenge, day number 5. I hope you're all doing well. If you are joining me live on this beautiful Monday morning, definitely let me know. Throw your name in there. Throw where you are in the world. I'm streaming live this week from Los Angeles. I was in San Francisco last week, hanging out with the good folks at Adobe Live and, the XD team. We had a pretty big week last week. We launched XD 19. We also released XD 19.1 this weekend with a bunch of bug fixes, more coming, and awesome new features in the works. But big good morning to Cheryl, who is not a fan. We got Debbie and John and Pokehan, Samuel, Jihad, and Dominika from Iceland. Awesome. Marilyn from Michigan. We've got Tim, awesome moderator, is in the house. Andy, one of our awesome community members who helps out a ton in Slack and Discord. Thank you, Andy. Really appreciate. And your name isn't even Andy, it's Andrew, but I'm going to call you Andy because that's what it says over there. Lana from, oh boy, at Adirondack. I don't even know where that is. Not even going to start and trying to figure that out, but welcome. Alexandre from Brazil, a lot of people, awesome, joining me live from, got London and India, everywhere else. I can just sit here all day and just naming everyone and welcoming you, but we have things to do. So we're going to get started. We're going to hop over to my screen over here, and this is the XD Daily Creative Challenge landing page, behance.net/XD Daily Creative Challenge. No, I'm wrong. I lied. behance.net/Daily Creative Challenge. There's no XD in there. So what you'll first notice, there's a big blue register button at the top. If you haven't pressed that yet, definitely press it. There's still time. That way, every single morning at 8 o'clock, you'll be notified when we release a new challenge. We've got still people from, Greece and Alaska, Malaysia, all over the world. This is awesome. So every single day, you're going to be joining me live at around 10:30 in the morning, Pacific time. Could be midnight where you are. I think in India, I think it's midnight. That's crazy. Thank you for joining me at midnight in India. Awesome. And then you're going to share using the keyword XD Daily Challenge. And I know Debbie in the chat was asking just a few minutes ago to go over some sharing tips. If I do have time at the end of the stream, I will definitely do that. But definitely post on Behance, and when you do, use the keyword XD Daily Challenge so I can jump in there, I can find it, and it'll be a good time. Then you have until May 27th. I think it's on next Monday. That's crazy. It's a week from now to complete all the challenges. But as I mentioned, every single challenge, every single month, we do these to really help you build up your skills, learn something new. Maybe you're just like Strange Love in the chat who doesn't really know what XD is. And this is the perfect opportunity to dive in and really explore what it might be. Lana's saying they're in New York State. I would not have guessed that place was in New York. But hey, welcome from New York and whatever that place is. So maybe I'll visit one day. If you haven't grabbed XD yet, it's free. Just download it right here, and you can also join us on Discord. We have an amazing Discord community. Where's Discord? Here's Discord over here. We've got over 4,000 people in Discord right now. 4,000. I mean, there's only, 357 online right now, but we got 4,000 in our channel, which is great. You can jump in here, introduce yourself, let us know what you do for a living. If you're brand new to UI and UX, have a good time, chat with friends. You can get feedback on all your awesome designs that you've been working on. You can ask questions, you can request features, or just, chat about whatever. Maybe Game of Thrones last night, I don't know. No spoilers though. Although there weren't very many spoilers to be, talked about last night, but one big one, but that's about it. So down here, these are our challenges so far. So we've got, we started off last Tuesday with a splash screen and landing page. We went on to the login experience, the home screen, the hamburger menu, so delicious. And then we're gonna tackle browse movies today. And the cool thing about this is right here. We're gonna be using components within a repeat grid to override it. This has to be one of my favorite features of components. Components is such a big feature, but if you're brand new to components, if you go to letsxd.com and you go to the Learn More section, You can learn all about the new features that came last week in XD 19, including components, linked assets, keyboard and gamepad triggers, guides, a lot of different things. So go there if you're brand new to XD, you can learn a lot of cool stuff. But components, I think, are really gonna take your designing to new levels, especially once we get states in coming later this year. Now, before I hop into XD, I want to showcase 2 challenges that came in, I believe yesterday or maybe the day before. This is from Deep, and he has been putting together this music app, or this movies app, and this was for the hamburger menu. So if I go ahead and play this video, he's got a few interactions in here, but just very quickly, I'll skip ahead just a little bit. He's got some great cards, which we're going to be kind of tackling today as well. And then he's got the little hamburger menu that slides down from the top. You can either use overlays to do that, or we can put it on a separate artboard if you want some additional interactions in there. But I thought this was a really nice look for that menu. And then we've got Jihad, who's actually, I believe, in the chat. There he is. There he is right there. Jihad Mohammed is in the chat, and he's been putting together this movies app as well. And if I go down here and to play this, he's got a few really interesting interactions in here, including this loading animation, these stars or whatever, these movie reels that turn into a star. It's called Star TV. He's got the login experience. He's got sort of an onboarding experience where these movie reels animate, which I thought was cool. And I'm still getting over my cough, by the way. And then he's got this search functionality, and then the hamburger menu. Really nice pink color, which I thought is really nice. Alrighty, so here we go. We're gonna hop into Adobe XD, and we're gonna tackle today's challenge, which is to design the browse movie experience using overrideable repeat grids with components. Super cool. So just to kind of recap what we've tackled so far, and if you do want to download my reference file inside of the template, you'll be able to go to this link right here, and every single day, a few hours after every challenge, I'm going to be uploading the reference file so you can follow along, pick apart the animations if you really want to, and do what you want with it. Have fun with it. Now over here, we've got our artboards. So let me just go ahead and play what we've done so far, and just to kind of recap, here's the splash screen with a little bit of a loading animation. We've got the login experience, and then we've got a little bit of a browse experience. I jumped ahead just a touch, but let's see what we've got so far. I'm gonna press play. It's gonna load. There's the loading animation, and it goes to the login experience, and then it goes to the home screen where I can then just drag this card over, and then I can access my hamburger menu from any screen that I happen to be on. So today we're going to be doing not necessarily this, we're going to be doing something a little bit different with repeat grids and components. So to get started, I'm actually going to duplicate one of these screens, and I'm just going to start deleting some of the elements inside. Oh, I need that one. Just so we have a little bit of a blank slate. We don't need a lot of the elements at this point, especially now that we've transferred or transitioned away from some of the previous screens. But we definitely need our icons. We don't need this rectangle, and we've got everything else kind of in place. Perfect. All right. Don't need that as well. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to create our first card using the repeat grid. And let me go ahead and just name this home. And this could be maybe search results. It could be the home screen, whatever you might want to use it for. And I'm going to grab my rectangle tool over to the left and simply draw out a rectangle across the entire artboard. We're going to have a nice full width card for this, right? So I'm going to pop this in the middle just to see it against the background. I'll change the color to gray, turn off the border, don't need that. And let me zoom in here so we can really see what we're working with. Now on this card, we might want a few different things. We might want the title. Obviously, we're going to need some images. We might want a star rating, and we might want a button or two to either play the content or rent the content or whatever it might be, right? So I'm going to start very basic. We're going to grab the text tool, and I'm going to just type out movie. Wow, I can't spell today. Wow. There we go. I'm going to spend the whole time trying to type movie title. And I'll pop that over here. I'm going to change the color to white for now because the images will probably be a little bit darker. So I'll just pop it right about here. All right, perfect. So now we have that, we're going to also have some stars. So now in the template, if I zoom out a little bit, we do have these stars over here, but I'm going to hop over to my good old trusty Nucleo. It's an icon manager, and I do have some icons in here. I'm just going to type out star just to find a really nice looking icon. I'm gonna go for a filled icon. Let's say this one, just drag this in to XD, make it a little bit smaller. Now I do want several stars. Let's say this is a 5-star movie. So for this one, I can also create a repeat grid. So I'm gonna press the repeat grid button over to the right, boop, there we go. And just drag out 5 stars, and I can adjust the padding like that. Perfect. Now down here at the bottom, we might want another button that allows us to either rent the movie or play the movie. So I'm gonna drag out another rectangle, and maybe just to give it a little bit of style, I might want to round out, excuse me, just one of the corners, right? So I'm gonna hold down Alt or Option and just round out this corner, just like this. Just subtly, just like that, perfect. Turn off the border, and then we'll type out rent movie. Oops, gotta change the color to dark, and I gotta also spell movie correctly. That would be good. All right, so now that we have all these elements in place for this repeat grid, we're gonna select all of them. So in my layers panel, I can just go ahead and select all these layers. I could group them if I want, but you really don't need to, and press repeat grid one more time. And that will allow me, let me just move this up. I'm gonna make sure it's below the header as well and the navigation. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just simply gonna drag out additional cards going down my artboard like that. And I can adjust the spacing and the padding. Maybe I want 0 padding, just to make sure they're right on top of each other. Just like that, perfect. So now that we've got all these in place, what we're gonna do, we need some images. So we're gonna hop over to Finder, and I'm gonna grab, let's say Aquaman, I haven't seen that yet. I'm gonna grab Captain Marvel, haven't seen that yet either. Ready Player One, nope, haven't seen that. And maybe First Man. I haven't seen any of these. I'm sad. I'm gonna just drag them into XD, and it's gonna automatically populate the entire repeat grid. I can now jump in and make some adjustments to the mask. Just like that. Maybe I'll move this one down a little bit. Great. And then this one move down as well. Perfect. All right, so things are looking good. I can probably collapse that one. Now we obviously need to make some changes, right? These stars should be probably white. So even after the repeat grid has been created, I can just jump in and make some changes if I wanted to, just like that. However, you're gonna notice that all these changes are pushing to all the other grids, right? All the other cards. So, you know, if we wanted to override this repeat grid, what we can do is use components. So I'm gonna grab the stars layer and simply turn this into a component. So I can either right click on it or Command or Control K and then make component. Now that it's a component, it's also made it a component in all the other grids. I might also want this a component, right? So the text and this little button, I'm gonna make that a component. And now I can just jump in. Let's say I want this one. Maybe this one isn't 5 stars, maybe it's 4 stars. And you're noticing it's not changing on all the other cards because we turned it into a component. We can also resize this. Let me zoom out so you can see the other ones. Let's say for this one, I just wanted a play button and I just wanted, you know, I didn't want rent movie. Maybe I can just delete that, because components, you can delete and add elements very simply, very easily. So I'll make this a little bit smaller. I'll make the whole component a little bit smaller actually. Whoops, got to go in there. There we go. Make that a little bit smaller. And then maybe I'll hop over to Nucleo one more time. I'll grab a play button, or you know what? I don't have to grab a play button anymore because we have a polygon tool. How amazing is that? So I can just drag out a polygon. Maybe I'll rotate it like that. This will be the play button. Fill that with black, and we got a play button. But you're noticing it did not affect any of the other components within the repeat grid. So maybe Ready Player One, maybe this was, I don't know, what rating was this? A 3-star rating? So we can very easily do that. We don't have to worry about, you know, overriding that or messing up the grid, right? And we could just jump in here, make some changes. Aquaman, text can be overridden really nicely. Captain Marvel, you get the idea. Now, if you want to take it a step further, you can also create an interaction to go to the next screen. Now, you can either ungroup the repeat grid. I'm just noticing this play button's a little bit large, so I'm going to just go in here and make it a little bit smaller. That looks better. I also round out the corners just a little bit. Perfect. All right, so now at this point, you can either ungroup the repeat grid or you can keep everything as is and actually animate from the repeat grid. It's a little bit trickier, but I'm going to show you how that's done. So I'm going to duplicate this artboard over to the right. And let's say we want someone to click on Captain Marvel, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start really, adjusting some of this stuff. Adjust the padding like this, move Captain Marvel up, and then dive into this repeat grid or element, and then just start moving some elements around. I'm going to keep adjusting this. And of course, the ideal way to do this is probably to ungroup the grid, but I want to show you how this can be done using a current grid that has not been ungrouped. So I'm going to keep finessing this into place, then jump in here, move this. There's definitely got to kind of tweak it a little bit to get it exactly the way you want it, but you can do it, right? And it looks like I may have moved that up a little bit. There we go. We can grab the movie title, move that up. Captain Marvel, we can put that there. Where's my stars? There's my stars up here. Move these down, just like that. Now, of course, we can't really see exactly what we're working with, right? Because the text is kind of blending in with the background. So at this point, we can just we can go outside of the repeat grid, grab a rectangle, draw that out across the document. And then instead of like a solid color fill, we might want a gradient. So we're going to choose linear gradient. This one will be black with a 0% opacity, and this one will be a little bit darker. And then we just move the stuff down. There we go. Whoops. We need that in the repeat grid, sorry. Pop that in the repeat grid and then move it. Nope. In the repeat grid. It's not going in the grid. Hold on, let me create that one more time. Grab the rectangle, draw one out. I'm in the wrong grid. All right, well, you get the idea. I think I switched the grids by mistake. So at this point, you can actually go ahead and create the interaction. So I'm gonna go ahead into prototype mode, select Captain Marvel, drag this over. This will be a tap, auto animate, we'll do snap, and then press play. And you'll notice everything really nicely animates. Now, of course, again, like I mentioned, the ideal way to do this, and the easier way to do this, is to not use a repeat grid, because that was causing a little bit of problems. So let me move this down here. And for this one, I'm going to actually ungroup the grid. Now that everything is done and ready to go, I'm gonna right click and ungroup the grid. Now you'll notice it's a lot easier to kind of manage this stuff. So I can just drag this one up separately, drag this one up as well, drag these two down just like this, and then drag this, make it nice and large, right? Jump in here, make the image a little bit bigger, move it up. And just like we did before, kind of finesse it into place. That looks much better. And now all of our elements are here. We can easily move things around, move that play button down here. And maybe, you know what, because it's a component, we can also override it again. So maybe we want this one a little bit larger now. Maybe we want all the rounded corners, just like that. We'll grab the play button over here, move this over, and type in the word play. Whoops. Again, I can't spell. Play. Just like that, pop it in, and even though it's a component, we can still add these into the repeat grid, and then move this component over to the right. Move this stuff up. And now, just like I was trying to do before, we can grab our rectangle tool, make that lovely gradient so we can see everything against the background. I'm gonna make it a linear gradient, change this to black, move this down, and this will be 0% opacity. And now I can move all this lovely stuff behind that group, move it up a little bit, move it into the group, sorry. There we go, we did it, all right. So now that we have that done, we can once again go ahead and wire this thing up into prototype mode, select Captain Marvel, drag it over to the second artboard. It's gonna be a tap trigger. We want auto animate. We'll do a snap. Well, you know what, let's do ease in and out, and we'll do 0.4 seconds. And now we'll go ahead and play it. Press Captain Marvel, it slides up, and we can also wire it back, right? And if we need to make changes to the mask, we can easily dive in and do that. So double click. You can make changes to the mask if you wanted to, make it nice and large, just like this. Perfect. That looks good, and we can wire this back up. So if someone presses the Captain Marvel image one more time, it goes back to the first artboard. We're gonna use the same tap trigger, auto animate, ease in and out, and that sort of thing. Press play, and there it goes. And you're noticing all those elements animate really nicely, and of course you can add elements if you wanted to. So if you wanted, let's say, for example, let's say you wanted some ratings or some more information about the movie. So let me move Captain Marvel up. Just like this. I'm going to grab my rectangle, drag this out. Maybe this will be just a border. Do a white border. Round at the corners just a little bit, just like that. Maybe it'll be a 2-pixel border. And then inside here, we might want to put, let's say, action, the type of movie that it might be, right? This will be maybe medium. And then make this a little bit smaller, just like that. Perfect. And we can have one more. You can either create this as a repeat grid or you can do them separately. What other, I don't know what other kind of movie this would be, but you know, it's definitely not a, what is it? I don't remember what this is. Let me look it up very quickly. Captain Marvel. What kind of movie is this? It is, it doesn't, fantasy. Okay, there we go. I was blanking. And just move this over. Perfect. I'm sure everyone in the chat is yelling at me right now. Oh, Andy says fiction. Yeah, I suppose it could be. Adventure. Could be that too. And I'll just make sure to group these. And I should probably also make these a component. So let me go ahead very quickly before I wrap this up. Delete this, just to make sure that I'm kind of following what I preach. I'm going to select both of these, turn these into a component. And you're noticing in my assets panel, there's the component right there. I can just duplicate this over and just type out fantasy. Perfect. And if I needed to, I can always make this a little bit larger, and you're noticing responsive resize works beautifully. Move that into place. And even though I added these two elements to this artboard, I can still interact with, you know, go to the previous screen and transition to this new screen, and those elements will just appear since they don't exist on the first artboard. So I'm going to just do this, press that, and you notice they just kind of come into play, and there they are. And of course, you can expand on this further when you're doing your challenges to kind of show what the play experience looks like. Maybe when someone clicks on action or fantasy, something might happen. And just like we did before, we can also go through and wire up our menu. We can wire up all these different things. So we can have our menu, we can go to prototype mode, hook that up to this menu over here. And if you missed last week's stream where we covered the hamburger menu and overlays, you can definitely go back and watch that, but it'll be a tap. We'll do an overlay and we'll have it slide to the right. Pop it right about there. That looks good. That way, when I click on the overlay, it slides out and I can slide it right back in. So now that all this is finished, if you do want to publish this on Behance, you can either start exporting some of these images, or if you go up to the share menu at the top, you can actually share for review. Now, when you do share for review, you can choose anyone with a link or anyone that has been invited. You can give it a name. This will be Real Movies. You can choose to allow comments, hotspot hints, navigation controls, that sort of thing. And it's basically going to take all your wired up artboards, starting with the home screen, and it's going to upload these to the Creative Cloud, right? But what's really cool is after this is done, just in 1 second, right down here, you can copy the embed code. And what that allows you to do is you can go right to Behance, you can paste the embed code within your Behance project, and you'll be able to interact with your working prototype right there, so we can jump in and see some of this stuff. So definitely, expand on this, have some fun with these overrideable repeat grids, have some fun with the animations, and if you are looking for more, photography or photo editing based stuff, Terry White is coming up in just a few minutes, and then right after him, Kathleen is coming up with, she's going to be diving into some brushes with Better Know a Brush. So thanks for hanging out, everyone. Definitely, throw this on Behance, use the keyword XD Daily Creative Challenge, and I will see you all tomorrow at 11:30. Thanks, everyone.